All right. Well, I hope everyone has been enjoying the course so far because starting your own business, guys, is exciting and it takes dedication and patience. So, we're going to take you through some steps today and some things that you're going to need or may need in case you want to turn this into a business. And so, I'm just going to show you a few things on how you can do this. And I'll explain what I've done in order to turn it into a business as well. But first, we're just going to recap a few things and talk about what the field service is so that, you guys already went through the course, so you guys should know. But I just want to reiterate that, the field service industry has really been around for years, but most people have really never heard of it. You know, you know, these services, they start with a need. Guys, we have banks, we have lenders, we have investors who have invested their money into homes and properties throughout the world. So, in which case, how do they know if their properties are being taken care of? Really, they don't. If they're somewhere else and their property is in another state or across the world somewhere, so they really don't. So this is why banks or lenders, or investors, they hire companies or independent contractors, throughout the world to check on their properties and report on the condition of them. Guys, these inspection companies cannot have enough, employees to cover every part of the world. So they use us as independent contractors to fill that gap, where there's a need. And usually, as I said, there's no licensing required or experience required. These companies will, tell you what information that they need from you, and usually they'll provide the necessary forms and everything. And many companies are willing to work with new inspectors so that they can make sure that their jobs are being done correctly. So let's talk a little bit about some of these inspections now because there's so many different types of inspections, but most of them can be placed into like three different categories. As I mentioned before, previously in the course, okay, we have residential inspections. The reason why I started you off with residential inspections because it is the easiest to get into. And that way you can get your feet wet, gain the experience because when you get into some of the other inspections like commercial inspections and things like that, insurance inspections, they are going to require you to have a little more experience, okay? So it's better for you to do these residential inspections for a little while until you get the hang of it and you know what you're doing, and that way you can move on to other inspections. The residential inspections, these are the most common and widely available. So there are tons of residential inspections for you to do. See, this is where most of us make our money. You know, although the fees that they pay aren't very high for these, um, you can make up for it in volume by completing, 50 to 100 inspections per day. I used to, that was my average, 50 to 100, sometimes over 100. Depends on how busy my day was, how busy, that month was for me. And the fees for these inspections, they can range from anywhere from $3 up to $20. So it all depends on what you negotiate with your clients. So it's important that when you are gaining new clients, it's important that you negotiate your fees up front so that you know what to expect from that particular company. Now, when we get into commercial inspections, that's often referred to as the sweet spot in the field inspection industry, in the field service industry, because these inspections can pay up to $200 per inspection. These inspections are great. This is commercial inspections is what I am personally focusing on right now. I moved out of the residential segment, but commercial inspections are what I'm focusing on right now. And then I am actually just got on with an insurance, doing insurance inspections. So, but the commercial inspections are referred to as the sweet spot because they pay. They pay better than most. And although they pay better, they are harder to get. So, I don't want you to get your hopes up, not just yet, because remember, you're new and you're learning. So, you know, I want you to know that you can move into these higher paying inspections. For the residential inspections, again, I started off with that, and I was averaging, between $3,000 and $5,000 a month, or sometimes more. But that was the average. But then you have miscellaneous inspections. These could be mystery shop inspections, vehicle inspections, boat inspections, equipment, inventory, things like that. And so let me give you an example. Let's just say a construction company leases a bulldozer to a client, and they lease it for 1 year. Well, the owner of that equipment has no idea if that construction company, the person who leased that equipment, is taking care of it or not. So what that company does is they hire an inspector like myself and like you to go out and verify where the equipment is located and make sure it's located where it's supposed to be. And most likely you'll get the serial numbers and the mileage and hours, or whatever they require for that particular piece of equipment. So, you have to realize there are so many different inspections that, I mean, the possibilities are endless when you're doing these. Other types of inspections could be verifying, businesses, property, and equipment. Guys, the possibilities are endless. There are so many inspections out here. So the potential for you to be successful in this business is very, very high. You have a high possibility of being successful if you decide to turn this into a business. So, if you're looking around, if you're when you're driving around town, take a look around. Every home, every business, every commercial property, every apartment complex, car, recreational vehicle, RV, boat, jet ski, whatever, has a potential to need an inspection at some point in time. They all have someone who has an interest in it, of the well-being of that particular piece of property, and they are willing to pay you to go check it out. All right. So I just kind of wanted to, tell you about that real quick, and just kind of recap the things that we've been talking about, and, so that you can have an idea of what exactly you're doing, because this is the residential section of this course. So it's better to learn the stuff, I mean, pick it up quick if you can, but take your time, but make sure you are doing your inspections correctly. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the slide now. And so again, we're going to how to turn your field inspection side gig into a full-time business. So one of the things that you want to think of, if you decide to want to turn this into a business, is you want to think of a business name if you decide to choose a business name. Now myself, I usually go by sole proprietor. I don't have a business name. I've done this for years, but it is totally up to you, because it depends on what your needs are. But if you decide to go with a business name, you want to make sure that your business name is memorable but easy to spell, because misspellings can cause issues on dispersed checks. When you get checks, if a company sends you out a check and you go to cash it, that misspelling, or may cause some issues with you cashing that check. All right. And it should be visually appealing. Write it out. Does it look good when you write it out? And it should have a positive connotation. Does it look professional? So if you are turning this into a business, you want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row, to make sure, your business name is easy to spell, make sure it's visually appealing, and make sure it looks professional. I wouldn't suggest you go out here and say, um, Jay's Pimp Ride Service, or anything like that. You can just come up with something that is appealing and and looks very professional. All right, guys. Now we're going to talk about the ownership structures. Okay, because like I previously just said, I run mine as a sole proprietorship. Okay, but you can run it as a partnership, a corporation, a LLC. Now each of these have their own benefits, and they have their own, their cons. So it's up to you to decide which way that you want to structure your business. Now when you are structuring your business, you should not be it should not be taken lightly, because these, when you're structuring up your business, it has long-term implications. So make sure you consult an accountant or an attorney to determine what structure is right for you. um, Now it's totally up to you, but I highly recommend, if you have an accountant, if you have an attorney that you can talk to, that way you can kind of get an idea of what works for you, because everybody's situation is different. I'm single. I don't I pretty much don't have any assets out there, so the sole proprietorships work perfect for me. All right, so considerations before choosing a business structure. You want to, think about these things. Think about your vision regarding the size and the nature of your business. How big do you want to grow your company? Are you going to get into preservations? Are preserving properties? Are you just going to be doing inspections? What, what is the nature of your business? I mean, how much do you plan on growing your business? For myself, I was just pretty much a one person show, so it was just me, myself, and I paid, I had a couple of people working for me, but I actually paid them, cash to help me out with some stuff. But, that's totally up to you. You can have a payroll and things like that. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Anyway, the next thing that you want to consider is the level of control that you want to keep. Or do you want to be the sole owner? Do you want a partnership? You know, what kind of control do you want to have over your business? And then think about the structure that you're willing to deal with. Okay. Are you willing to deal with a partnership? What if that partnership falls apart? Now, and what if your partner withdraws? So you have to consider the things that you're willing to deal with and not deal with. Also, your vulnerability to lawsuits. Now, in my case, being a sole proprietor, I never really ran into that because I was always covered up under the companies that I was working for. So, but if you are turning this into a business, having a legal business name, forming an LLC, corporation, whatever the case may be, you want to make sure you want to see, because some people have a lot more to lose than others. So you want to know what your vulnerability is to lawsuits. All right. And then tax implications, because each business structure is going to be taxed differently. So this is the reason why I say contact or consult with an attorney or an accountant to make sure that your business structure is going to fit your needs. Now, as far as sole proprietorship, that is what I have. Most businesses start out that way because it has one owner. That one owner oversees all the operations. That one owner owns all the assets to the business. And that one owner also assumes all responsibilities for liabilities that include taxes, debts, and any other liabilities that there are. So, you know, I'm okay with that, because I'd rather be able to run it the way that I want to run it. So, but most businesses start out this way because it's really cheaper. You don't really have to file any type of paperwork to start as a sole proprietorship or anything like that. So that's the reason why most businesses start out that way, because most businesses are usually like a, you know, one man show, to get their business off the ground. But as you expand, and if you take on more and more inspections, sometimes it becomes overwhelming and you can't do it all by yourself. So it may be time to hire people, hire subcontractors to work for you to do these inspections for you. That way now you can have people out in the field working for you, you know, and you're at home or you're doing whatever else that you want to do. So that is one of the benefits of turning this into a business, or, hiring people, so that, it frees up your time. Now, some of the pros to sole proprietorship is that it's the easiest and the least expensive to start. You're in control and you make all the decisions. You receive all of the profits, and the profits are easily recorded on your Schedule C, and it's easily dissolved. Now, I do my taxes myself every year. I've had no issues with my taxes. So, you know, I pretty much do everything. I'm the accountant. I'm the inspector. I, I oversee the day-to-day operations. I'm the scheduler, appointment scheduler. I'm everything. So, you have to consider if that is something that you are willing to take on, all those responsibilities. Now, the cons to a sole proprietorship is that it has unlimited liability for both personal and business, assets. So your personal and business assets are up for grabs because you're not protected with any where you're not protected with anything, like you didn't file an LLC, you know, or you didn't file a corporation. So now your personal assets are at risk. So you have to decide, what's best for you. And another con to this is that it's difficult to raise funds, and it generally you'll end up generally using to expand your business. You'll end up using like your savings or getting personal loans. All right. Now, as far as partnerships is where there are two or more owners. Okay, both the owners bear the liability of the company, and owners share all risks, profits, and debts. So this is everything is shared within a partnership. Now, some of the pros to a partnership is that it's easy to establish. Again, the profits are recorded on the Schedule C. Um, and having a partner sometimes is beneficial because that additional partner may bring in some additional skills that you may not have, that they bring to the table, and vice versa. You may have skills that your partner don't have, so you guys are working together and building something with very unique individual skills. All right, and it may be easier to raise funds as a partnership. All right, but some of the cons to a partnership is that, you're not the only decision maker. So your decisions are shared. All right. You share all your profits. So any money that comes in is split, depending on how many partners that you have in your business. Now, partners are individually and jointly liable for each other's actions. So if your partner was to do something negligent, although your partner did it, you are responsible for your partner's actions, and vice versa. All right, so these are things that you definitely have to consider when you are forming your business structure. And also, another con is that it has a limited lifespan. Let's say your partner may die, or they may withdraw from the business. So either you're going to have to find another partner, you're going to have to assume all responsibilities. So that partnership, it has a limited lifespan. All right. Now, corporations. All right. Corporations are considered overkill for this industry. All right. There's really no need for you to go out and start some corporation. All right. And because it's highly unlikely that this structure type will be used for this industry. However, corporations do provide some protection for your personal assets. So I'm not going to go too far into corporations because it's probably not going to be used. All right. If you're going to start this business, I recommend, either a sole proprietorship or LLC or partnership. Those are your most likely options. Now, let's talk about limited liability company, LLC. Now, this business structure, there are under state laws. Okay, so and you're not personally liable for business debts. And yeah, you're not personally liable for business debts, and it provides protection for your personal assets. All right, so you are pretty much protected from. So if your business fails or you get in debt with your business, then your personal assets are pretty much protected against your business, against a failed business or anything your business may have been negligent with doing. All right, so it protects your personal assets. Now, some of the pros to a limited liability company is that there's limited liability for the owners. It's easily transferred, you have shared ownership, and you can easily raise funds. I think I, yeah, okay. Some of the cons here is that fees cost more than sole proprietorship. Okay, you have to consult with your state to see what those fees are per individual state, and is you should keep personal and business records separately. All right, and some of the tax forms are more difficult to complete. So these are things that you need to consider when you are filing an LLC because or LLC, yeah, because each state varies on filing your LLC. So consult your state officials. Now, if you're uncomfortable filing your own forms, you can use like a low cost service such as LegalZoom. Okay, they have services that they can help you create that LLC or create whatever document that you are trying to create. And most states make it easy for you to file because they allow you to file online. All right, bank accounts. Now, when you are starting a business, if turning this into a business, it's important that you should, once your business is established by filing the necessary forms, let's say you decided to establish an LLC, okay, or a partnership, whatever. It's important that you open up a business account, in order to separate your business expenses and your personal expenses. All right, and be sure that your name is approved beforehand. When you're filing your business name with your state, make sure it's approved beforehand before you go open a business account. All right. All right, let's get into some of the equipment. We spoke about equipment early on in the course, but I just want to reiterate some of the things that you're definitely going to need. And one of the things is a reliable vehicle. The other is a cell phone. Um, a laptop or a desktop computer, high speed internet access. Um, I would say grab a decent digital camera. You know, um, you can use your cell phone, but when you're ready to get into like commercial inspections or insurance inspections or some other different types of inspections, you know, me personally, I prefer to use a digital camera. So at some point in time, you may need a decent digital camera. It doesn't have to be some high tech digital camera or anything like that. Um, I bought a little Nikon digital camera. So you may need a digital camera. You may probably going to need a printer. I try to avoid printing things. So what I would normally do is download it and upload it to my tablet so that I can view it instead of printing out paper. Like today, I had an inspection. The survey report was 50 pages if I had printed it. There's no way I'm going to be printing out 50 pages. So what I did was I downloaded it and I uploaded it to my tablet so I can view it as I'm on site. Um, Also recommend like a GPS, a separate GPS from your cell phone. Um, that's what I prefer because a lot of times when you're um, in your phone, you're looking at your work order, and instead of backing out of it, if you're getting ready to take a picture, instead of backing out of it to view something on the work order, you know, that just seems like a hassle to me. So I like to separate it and have a separate GPS. I'll go into that a little bit later. Or you can have some mapping software. I also recommend like a clipboard or something, so that if you have paperwork that uh, the client needs to sign when you go out and finish your inspection, that way you have something for that client to sign on. So a clipboard would be good, a cheapy wooden clipboard. And when you get into insurance inspections, you may end up needing like a surveyor's wheel. So these are just some basic things that you may need as you're going through and as you're excelling and moving on into different inspections. But you're definitely going to need most of these things during the residential inspections. Right now, setting up your home office, guys. Find a space in your home. Try to find a quiet space to set up your office. All right, keep it organized and limit clutter by, not having non-business material in your office space. That way, you can kind of keep everything organized. You can reach for what you need, and you can keep it moving. All right. The other thing you want to think about is your home business and your taxes. Because having a home business, it has its perks because you are allowed to write off certain business expenses. You can write off a home office if you created a dedicated space for an office. You can uh, write off your mileage, supplies, maintenance, just about everything for this. I even, oil changes and maintenance on my car, the tax fees that I pay on my car, because my car is what I use to complete these orders. So, anything that's dealing with my car, I am writing it off. I am keeping records and I'm writing it off. So for your mileage, you can keep a mileage book. They now have apps that you can, don't even have to keep a mileage book. It has an app that you can actually just, you know, hit start today, and it tracks your mileage. All right. So consider these things. Now, if you need more information about, using your business from home, um, you can check out the IRS publication 587. I'm actually going to link it below the video. So you can check that out and see what other kind of write-offs that you can do for your business. But a good accountant can help find and file exemptions for you during tax time. So if you're worried about taxes, I would recommend that you grab an accountant, especially if you are making a lot of money, doing these inspections. Now, some business insurance, because some companies will require you to have if you are setting this up as an entity. Some companies will require you to have errors and omissions insurance (E&O) or general liability. You'd have to check with the particular company to see if they require that, and I'm going to give you some resources on where you can find insurance, because not all insurance companies will grant you errors and omissions. So sometimes you have to go another route. So let's talk about it. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of people who you can contact if you are interested in getting insurance for your business. So the general liability insurance has this, I mean, it's reasonably priced, but not widely required by people. Okay. Now, the errors and omissions insurance, especially if you're doing property preservations, you're definitely going to need this insurance. Now, this insurance can be expensive, and it's required by very few companies, because some companies have blanket policies that cover their subcontractors and independent contractors. And, you know, I have been fortunate enough to work for those companies that have those blanket policies that actually cover me. So you may want to find out if you're covered with the company that you're working for or not, but the way that I've always done it, I'm a sole proprietor. I'm always covered up under. I've never had to carry this insurance other than insurance on my vehicle. I never had to carry E&O insurance or anything because I was always covered by the company that I was working for. So you may want to discuss with your insurance agent the nature of your business to determine if you're going to need additional coverage for your vehicle or your home. Um, so definitely check with them because you will be doing a lot more driving and things like that. So, you know, it you may need additional coverage. Now, here are some insurance resources. One is the Organization of Real Estate Professionals, and this is the website for them. And the other one is York Jersey Underwriters. And both of these people, let me show you real quick. All right, I'll just go to this one real quick. This is the Organization of Real Estate Professionals, and they specialize in providing insurance for real estate professionals. So, if for home inspectors, things like that. For companies like us, if we decide to turn inspection, if we decide to build an inspection company, preservation company, they have insurance for your different needs. So feel free to check them out. You're going to have to contact them for a quote on your insurance based on your profession, based on where you live. So you're going to have to contact them in order to get, pricing of what it would actually cost you. All right, next we're going to talk about area of coverage. How do you choose your area of coverage? Because you have to determine what area you're willing to work in, what area that you're willing to cover. Most companies go by zip codes, so you can, look around your area. I suggest you, stay as close as possible to your zip code, if you're just starting off and if you are turning this into a full-blown business, going to have and you got a big vision for your company, you're going to have employees and things like that. Um, you can be able to, go out further. But I recommend if you're doing this by yourself, you want to try to choose zip codes that are surrounding where you live. And you have to specify how far you're willing to travel. Some companies do by a radius. I usually travel within a 25-mile radius of where I live. All right. So, but if you live in a more rural area, your coverage may need to expand. You may have to go out further in order to get more assignments. For me, I had to do that as well. Sometimes I have to drive 30 minutes out, to grab these assignments, versus homes that are very close by me. So, but I live in a more rural area. So you have to determine where you live and determine if it's going to be worth it to you, because if you're living in a rural area, you may not get very many assignments. So it may not be worth it to you to stay, right in your area. So you may have to expand out. All right, resume. You should have a resume prepared, okay? As a sole proprietor, I usually use a resume that is more personal. It's a standard resume, which, has my personal work experience, my education, and things like that on it. Now, if you're forming a corporation, LLC, or partnership, I recommend using information-based resume. And it includes something like the services that your company provides, the type of equipment that your company uses, and things like that. Mapping software. Now, I had some great mapping software. Unfortunately, it's not available anymore. But mapping software allows you to use a database or spreadsheet to upload addresses. It pinpoint and once you upload a file, to your mapping software, it pinpoints each address on the map for you, and then you can use a route planner to to um, to add to your route. All right, so let me show you an example here. I use something called Microsoft Streets and Trips. And what I've done, this is just a this is just a mapping. This is a mapping software. Now they no longer have Microsoft Streets and Trips. So basically, give me 1 second here. Okay, and just as you can see, I just added a few addresses in here. Actually, yeah, added a couple of addresses in here, and it automatically routes this for me. Gives you the driving directions and everything. Now, some people have used laptops or PDAs or tablets, and this is actually a Windows software. So if you have Windows on your device, you would be able to use this software. But I'm gonna give you some recommendations on who you can go with, since this is obsolete now. But this thing was perfect because I was able to grab a, let's just say I had 50 addresses that I was going to in a day. I can put those download those 50 addresses, from the app or the website that I was working from, the company's website or whatever that's up under my name, and download it into a file and then upload it into this mapping software, and then put the pins, as you can see, it put the pins on the map, and then once you hit route, it routes your day. Now I don't have like 50 addresses on this one, but I just wanted to show you an example of what this mapping software, how valuable a mapping software can be for you. Some people have used this Microsoft Streets and Trips or their mapping software and taken their laptop with them so that they can read the directions or whatever the case. What I've actually done was I purchased um, a GPS. I had this Microsoft Streets and Trips, but what's special about this GPS is that I could upload that file, the same file, once I route my jobs in the mapping software. I was able to upload that file directly into my GPS, and it created the route for me. So now all I got to do is turn my GPS on and hit go, and it routes me to each address. But here, they discontinued this, and they discontinued Microsoft Streets and Trips in December 2014. So I mean, it's possible you may be able to find it, download or somewhere, But I know when they discontinued it, I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. But you may be able to find some version of it today. But here are some alternatives. One is called Badger Maps. And yes, these are paid services, so you'd have to check with each one of these. Excuse me. You'd have to check with each one of these to see what their pricing is. The other one is Map Business Online. It was on the pricier side. It's like $75 for 3 months. RoadNet is another one, and TripIt, and then you have MapQuest Route Planner. So check into some of these apps and see if they're a good fit for you. Or you can do a search for Microsoft Streets and Trips, and maybe there's a version out there that you can actually download and grab for a fraction of the cost. All right. All right, next we're going to talk about payments and invoicing. Although most companies keep track of your assignments, it's always best to keep your own records because they may miss something. I've been in situations where the jobs that I completed, that I recorded that I completed, was not properly adjusted by the company that I was working for. So there was a couple of inspections that were missing. So you want to make sure that you keep records of all your assignments. And some companies will require you to invoice them. So they will require you to send them, an invoice for the work that you completed. I was with a company called Home Shot, and I didn't do a whole lot of work for them. However, the work that I was doing for them, I would have to invoice them every week based on the number of inspections that I completed that week, so that I could get paid. If I did not invoice them, I did not get paid. So you want to make sure that if you are required to invoice them, invoice the company that you're working for, you want to make sure that you have send them an invoice and have a way to be able to invoice them. Now, I also recommend using a spreadsheet to track your payments when they're made. All right, because when you're working with high volumes, it's difficult to keep track unless you're using a tool. All right, so let me show you real quick, give you an example of, I just created a Excel spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet, I have the date, the client, jobs completed, the payment amount for each job or the different jobs, and then I have the total. And I was at this time, this was in January. At this time, I was working for two different companies. So that's the reason why you see two different columns here. And what I did was, uh, okay, that's not adding up right. But anyway, I must have changed something. Anyway, so like here, I did two jobs was completed this day, which was on the 8th of January, because this is the date. The 8th of January, two jobs at $4 each, and I made $8 that day. All right. Same here. I did 47 jobs on the 17th at $4 each job. I made $188. Um, so this is the spreadsheet that I kept. And as you can see here, this is the total amount that I made for that month of January for this one company. And this is the total amount that I made for this company in that month of January. And down here, right over here, let me go over here. These 437 was the number of jobs that I completed for that one, and 212 for this company. And I have my totals down here: 649 completed jobs in the month of January, and I made a total of $2,714 tax free. Not exactly tax free, but since they don't take out taxes because you are an independent contractor, all that money comes to you. All right. So I recommend also that that you set aside, a percentage, especially if you're getting to major volume like this. I really suggest that you consider. I just lost my thought. I highly suggest that you consider, keeping track of your jobs, how much they're paying, because each one, and from the different companies, if you're working for multiple companies, because you want to make sure that you're getting paid correctly. But okay, got my thought back. Now, I highly consider that you set aside a certain percentage of the money that you get in towards your taxes. Now, you can pay your taxes quarterly, or yearly at the end of the year or whatever. Me personally, I usually wait till the end of the year. But it's totally up to you on how you want to how you want to run your business. So I'm gonna just take you through this real quick and just show you some of the totals that I've actually made during this time period. This is February: 597 jobs, $2,400 for the month. And at this time, I was working, I had three companies. In March, 651 jobs, 2646 for the month. In April, 784 jobs, 3216 for the month. Um, 934 jobs for that month, 3958, $3,958 for that month of May. For the month of June, $4,068 and 50 cents. I did 1,001 jobs in that month, and I did 934 jobs in the month of July at a grand total of $38.99 was my payment. And at this time, I was working for 4 different companies. And as you can see, I have different, like this is highlighted. This is a REO inspection that paid more money. Okay. So these are things that you want to make sure that you keep track of. I just wanted to give you an example of the spreadsheet that I actually created that made it easy for me. So when, let's just say, on the, I went out on the first and, I did 50 jobs. So I can actually go in here, and if they all the jobs paid the same amount, let's just say they pay $5 each. I can go in here and put jobs completed 50. Let me do it right here. Yeah, let's see. Jobs completed 50. Let's just say they paid $5. That's $250. You see it automatically calculated it there, and it changed my total down here. But I'm gonna take this off. All right. So this is just an example of a spreadsheet that you can create yourself to keep track of your assignments. All right. Okay. Keep track of your pay. All right. So be sure to discuss your payments and your invoicing before you complete any assignments with any companies. All right. Now, using a camera versus a smartphone. Some of the advantages of using a smartphone, which you may want to do. Everybody has their own way of doing things, and you have to kind of find your groove. But some of the advantages of using a smartphone is everything is kept in one place. So you're using your phone for everything. Your photos can be uploaded through your phone. It has the GPS capabilities already there. Your photos are already geotagged, which a lot of companies will require. Especially, you make sure they want you to make sure that your location is turned on so the photos can be geotagged. And then you can input your data right away. And photos are automatically attached to the report as you're doing it. And you can just submit it right there. So that is some of the benefits of using a smartphone. Now, I realize these are perfect benefits for using a smartphone. However, the way that I used to do it was I had what was called an iFi card. Let me see if I can find that. Okay, I had what was called an iFi card. Basically, it's just a memory card with Wi-Fi capabilities. So basically, um, I would stick this card. I have my camera in here. This is actually the one I had too. I would actually stick this card into my camera, into my digital camera. I had a tablet with all my work on it. I was also using my phone. But however, what I would do was I stick this in my camera, and as I'm taking pictures, after I got everything set up, I take my pictures. It automatically sent those pictures to my tablet. And then all I had to do was attach those pictures to that particular job. And it just streamlined it for me. That way I could fill out, I had a little station set up in my car to hold my tablet. And I was, filled out my survey as my pictures were being uploaded, and then I attached them to the particular job and submitted my job and kept going. And my GPS was mounted on the dash. I hit next to go to the next property, and I'm off to the races. All right. So this is one of the things I loved about this, and love about using a camera, because I have that capability. And the other reason why I enjoy using a camera better than my smartphone is because I could actually zoom in further. And, if you consider doing bankruptcy inspections, drive-by inspections, no contact inspections, things like that, you want to do those discreetly. And sometimes using a smartphone, you can't be as discreet because they don't have that long range zoom capabilities as some cameras do. Uh, Give me 1 second here. All right, now one of the things that I purchased to make sure I was compliant, because if you can see here, this is 9700. I think I said I had the S6500 at first, but it did not have GPS capabilities. So I purchased a 9700. This is actually a 9700 that I'm pointing to, but the S6500 did not have GPS capabilities. So in order to comply with what they were asking, because they needed um, uh, the photos needed to be geotagged, so I needed a way to uh, make a digital stamp inside the photo, not on the photo, but inside the photo's properties of the coordinates where that picture was taken. And that is a way for them to track to make sure that you're at the right address and things like that. So it had to be, the pictures had to be geotagged. And some companies that I work for wanted a timestamp on it, and this also does a timestamp. So, um, but this has very good zoom capabilities. And so I can actually be sitting 5 houses down the street, zoom all the way in, and get an address on a mailbox. That's what I would do on some of my bankruptcy inspections in order to, for some of those photos that, require you to get close up on, like addresses and things like that. Um, you can't be real um, discreet if you're, sometimes with a cell phone. That's what I personally found. That was my personal experience. However, with the camera, I could sit down the street and take a few photos of what I needed to, and then as I'm driving by, I'm snapping my photos, especially on the drive-by inspections. So you may want to consider grabbing a camera for yourself. But I just wanted to put that out there for you as an option. But those are the things that I enjoy about using a camera versus a smartphone. Now, just to give you a few resources, because we're going to be wrapping this up, so the Society of Field Inspectors, SOFI, is a great resource for you to get hiring firms, for you to get more information, and if you want to purchase some of their products. A lot of their products are written manuals on how to do certain things. I'm actually going to maybe providing you guys a few things that that you may want to get into on a later date, and I actually have the manuals for that as part of this course. I'm not going to go into details or anything like that. However, feel free to check it out, download it if you like. um, and the other resource is the National Association of Mortgage Field Services. Now, I've kind of went through them and told you a little bit about them. This is where you can get certified if you choose to, if you want some more recommend uh, what's the word I'm looking for? If you want some more credentials, you can go through them and get certified. You can become a member with them. And those things, especially if you're running a business, those things will help you get more assignments, okay? And especially if you have your Aspen Grove number already, and things like that. Having an Aspen Grove number and becoming a member of this National Association of Mortgage Field Services can help you build your credentials up and get more assignments from different companies. All right. So some of the top mortgage field service companies are Safeguard Properties, Mortgage Contracting Services, which we usually call MCS, Five Brothers, Altisource, and A to Z Field Services. These are all field service companies that I've actually done work for. Now, these are the major companies. So if you are starting this out as a business, not, you're planning to, hire people and expand this to whatever you like, these are the companies that you're going to want, some of the companies that you're going to want to look for. I don't particularly recommend Safeguard. They're okay. However, they've had some issues in the past, and they don't like to pay a lot. So I would look at some of the other resources, but you can pick and choose, these companies that you want to, have contract work with. All right, and then you can go out there and place a bid to, get in with these companies. Now, again, I've always been a sole proprietor. I've always done work for these companies. However, doing work for these companies I was always like a third party pretty much. So let's just say mortgage contracting services, MCS, uh, delivered to their client, uh, one company, the company that I work for, delivered to them 50 jobs. Well, if all those 50 jobs are in my area, that client that I'm working for are giving me those 50 jobs. So I'm basically a third party. So the company that I work for is actually the middleman. So yes, every time that it goes through a company, your fee goes down because everybody's getting their part of the initial fee that the bank is actually paying, because the bank has hired MCS to perform these services. MCS has hired another company to contract the work out, and that company has hired independent contractors to actually perform the work. So if you want to bypass all the middlemen, and then you can go directly to these sources and get contracts with them. All right. So also, I've also went ahead and gave you guys a list of the hiring firms. You can check that out. It's inside the course. You can check it out at your leisure. Apply to as many or as few as you like. But I wanted to make sure that give you a head start to make sure that you had a list of hiring firms that you can go sign up with today. And pretty much takes care of that. But I wanted to show you, this is the Sophie website. All right, this is the Society of Field Inspectors, and as you can see, they have a link for hiring firms. You can check them out there. You have an online store where you can you know get a field inspector directory, and they have some other how-to stuff in here. Everything is written guides and everything. So if you're a reader, feel free to check these out as you like. All right, so feel free to check out the site. They have some great information on here, and things like that. So that pretty much wraps everything up. You guys have a wonderful day. I thank you for taking this course, and I look forward to serving you more. So stay tuned. We've still got more to go, but this really concludes the end of this field inspection mastery course. All right, guys. So I enjoyed you. Thank you, and have a wonderfully abundant day, and I wish you much success.